LinkedIn's a very visual medium, and people underestimate the power of visuals on LinkedIn. They love YouTube on LinkedIn. They love Vimeo on LinkedIn. They love videos, watching videos on LinkedIn, and both the app and the website's phenomenally easy and phenomenally powerful when it comes to communicating your personal brand. So I've got millions of videos on there because I know people, and people have told me, I watched your video before I met you, or I watched your video after I met you. And it reinforces your brand positioning.
Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Welcome back to my Careers podcast, where I interview fascinating professionals who've made amazing career changes or are leaders in their field. Now, today I have someone really special and very, very high profile. His name is Chris Reed, and he is the founder and global CEO of Black Marketing, which is a global marketing consultancy that specializes in enabling LinkedIn for C-suite executives and entrepreneurs across the world. He's taken the company from one person in one country in 2014 to a full listing on the NASDAQ in 2016. Chris has been named as an official LinkedIn Power Profile 2012 to 2016 and has one of the world's most viewed LinkedIn profiles with 55,000 followers, hundreds of recommendations, and is one of the top 100 most influential LinkedIn bloggers, and is the #1 international best-selling author with his book LinkedIn Mastery for Entrepreneurs. Chris has also been awarded B2B Social Media Influencer of the Year by Mumbrella and Asia's most influential digital marketing media professional by CMO Asia and Black Marketing Social Media Marketing Company of the Year by the Singapore Business Review. Oh, I'm running out of breath. There's so many things. He's got so many awards. It's unbelievable. Chris, welcome to the show.
My pleasure, Jane. Absolutely wonderful to be on the show with you.
I know. I got so excited reading your intro. It was fantastic. And also, it's such a pleasure to meet you face to face 2 weeks ago when you were on your road show in Sydney, and we were up at the top of the Shangri-La listening to you speak. It was one of the most really inspiring LinkedIn talks I've been to. And you've got so much more happening as well, which we'll talk about later. But because this podcast is all about careers and career transition, I'd love to hear your story. Let's start off with what your career aspirations were when you were a little boy.
Well, I was very lucky to have several mentors when I was a little boy. I mean, I had my granddad, my uncle, and my father who were entrepreneurs. So it's very natural for me to be an aspiring entrepreneur. So when I lived in Newcastle, which is the north of England, I realized pretty quickly that Newcastle was a very small place. So I needed to come to London. But I wasn't very academically qualified. So I kind of struggled through university, struggled through college and school, focusing on retaking exams, that kind of thing. But very much, had a passion for business then and a passion for marketing then. I remember being the marketing director of a, in school kind of like company. They try it out. They say, let's do this thing, and you all have different roles. And I desperately wanted to be the marketing director. And I papered the entire school with all my posters and branding. And everyone went, oh my God, what's going on here? I thought, this is great. Look at all the reaction I'm getting here. Half of it positive, half of it negative. And so I've always had a passion for marketing.
I had a look actually on your LinkedIn profile, and I saw that you were part of the chess club at university and the Young Enterprise Company. I think it was called In Style.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, amazing.
I was marketing director then, yes. It had great strap lines like In Style, it is, are you?
So I think sounds like marketing was in your blood, Chris.
Oh, it's very creative. I love marketing because it's so creative.
Yeah.
And you can do so many different things to it. And it's not just brands like physical brands or services. It's people like you and me, Jane. I mean, you have a fantastic personal brand. I have a great personal brand, and we both work very hard in actually creating this kind of like this brand. It's all about marketing.
So carrying on from your early days in marketing, and obviously you're the marketing professional, tell me, you were in London, and then you moved overseas, but your career started at the Times and the Sunday Times in London with News International and with Bauer Media too. Tell us a little bit about your early days there.
Well, I actually started a company called Hammersmith Odeon, which is their legendary concert venue, where it was literally the best job in the world for a 20-year-old who loved music, loved live music, and loved marketing. Because I got to market every single concert, from comedy like Jack D, and Billy Connolly, right through to great acts like the Rolling Stones and kind of like Bob Dylan and Metallica, all of whom played Hammersmith Odeon. So I had to basically literally create separate marketing strategies. I'd have R. Kelly one day and I'd take that the next day. And literally trying to create marketing strategy to hit different target audiences was actually awesome. You're kind of there, you're meeting the act because it's part of your job, you're marketing the act because it's part of your job, you're seeing the act because it's part of your job. I literally lived there for 24/7, like during the 2 years I was there, and I learned so much about partnerships and connections and networking, and I met so many fantastic and inspirational people. So I then moved into radio because, again, it's about concerts, it's about passion, it's about radio, it's about music. And that was a fantastic time in the UK for radio because it became to agglomerate into groups. So I moved up to kind of rainy Manchester to basically learn about radio marketing, and moved down to London as the group got bigger, my role got bigger. And so I learned a lot about radio marketing and concert marketing and how to use content to market, and very much about the concerts, but beyond the concerts into events and so forth. And then into Bauer. Into kind of like magazines and into newspapers, the Times and Sunday Times, where I learned all about kind of News Corporation and how giant it is and how difficult it is to actually make decisions, and how it was all about politics. And I really didn't like that very much. So that's when I became my first startup, effectively, was joining Rivals.net, which was a .com. Many years before Facebook came along. It was effectively the Facebook for sports fans. And it's a wonderful, wonderful idea. Started by the people in the States, called Rivals.com over there. But it didn't really take off because of the fact the internet was too slow. So the internet was too slow, you couldn't show video, you couldn't play video, and obviously sports being sports, you have to show video. Even if it's just fans have given reaction to sports, and whether it's football or rugby or cricket or whatever it happens to be. So that gave me a fantastic lesson in terms of, okay, this is possible, but it's too early. So then I planned to become an entrepreneur. I knew that was the time because I'd done concerts, I'd done radio, I'd done magazines, I'd done newspapers, I'd done internet. I'd really learned about kind of 5 or 6 different areas. I'd also worked in a shopping mall, doing leisure marketing for them and leisure attractions. So it's very much about using that experience and those contacts, more importantly. It's all about those contacts. It's all about who you know, not what you know. Because when I was 9 years old, my granddad says to me, it's who you know, not what you know. And that's very much true when you have a career, because you basically pick up people, you connect with people, you create relationships with people. So when it came to actually create my own business, I launched it with a fixed client base because I already knew people in these industries who needed my help. So then basically I was able to sell it, and then realize how you could actually sell a company and realize value by selling a company itself. So that maybe really go on the entrepreneurial track.
How did you find transitioning into entrepreneurship? As you said, you were fed up with the politics and working for someone, even though it was very exciting and such a good grounding for you in media and entertainment. And it just sounded like fun, a lot of fun, that you would have enjoyed it. But obviously, politics always does weasel its way in there. And so when you went into entrepreneurship, did you feel anxious at all? Or was it just, I'm going to throw myself in?
Oh, without a doubt, I threw myself straight into it, and I knew I had clients already set up. So I think that's the key that people don't tell you about. People say, just become an entrepreneur, just start an idea and leave your job tomorrow. You can't do that. You actually do have to plan it so you have clients. And every single time I've started a company, including Black Marketing, I've always had clients lined up. So I know the model works. I've done my research and said, will you pay for this service? So my first model was a partnership marketing model. And I said to people, will you pay for this service? And I had 5 or 6 clients lined up. So by the time I launched it, I already had an income stream. I already had client base. I was organically funded. I didn't need to go out and find investments. I think a lot of people miss that out these days and just think, I'll just go to investors or VCs and get a huge chunk of money. Not realizing they're giving away their shares. They're giving away the share of their company. And they'll regret that later on, because when it comes to realizing value, and your value of your company is 1,000,000 times what it was when you first started, you actually have inadvertently given away millions of dollars potentially of your own money, because you were too lazy to actually research the model or basically fund it yourself or sell your house or whatever. And that's really the true spirit of an entrepreneur. I mean, when I started Black Marketing, I sold my flat in London to basically fund it. I mean, luckily for me, I actually funded it also through organic sales and didn't actually need the money until we actually really went on a growth track after about a year or so. But you need to basically invest in yourself and not give away any shares if you're an entrepreneur. And I love that responsibility of being an entrepreneur and actually doing as much as I wanted to do, and actually reaching out to as many people as I wanted to, and working for people I wanted to work for, and having that choice. You never have that choice if you work for something like News Corporation.
Absolutely. Actually, what valuable advice, because self-funding is so important, not giving away your brilliant idea and your business as well to someone else. And then when someone else invests in your business, they want to have a say in it as well. And if you want to control your own business and do it your way, having those people who are already lined up and ready and willing for your service or your product or whatever, fantastic. And you can't do that without that valuable advice from your granddad. It's who you know, not what you know, but also I reckon it's who knows what you can do is really important, isn't it? So that you network and people get to know you, they like you, they trust you, and then the business builds. So what would you say, what was the most exciting bit about your transition into entrepreneurship?
I think it was the freedom. It was literally the freedom. I could do anything, anywhere in the world. I remember when I went into entrepreneurship and I sold the company about a year later, I was able to go around my first trek of New Zealand and Australia by myself for 6 weeks, and I didn't have a care in the world because I had the money, because I basically sold the company. I was staying in a 5-star hotel, so the best restaurants across the whole of Australia and New Zealand, having the most amazing time and just learning so much about a completely different culture, a different country that I've always wanted to travel to. And it was absolutely amazing to be able to have that freedom. And that's what entrepreneurship, it gives you, especially if you set up a good company with a good structure. Even if you're by yourself, if you set up basically a very good structure and you plan your time, you can reach out going forwards. Obviously, it's easier if you plan to have a resource behind you and a team behind you. But I think the freedom to choose, the freedom to go wherever you are, and even now at Black Marketing in Singapore, I chose where to actually focus my business, which is why most of my clients don't actually come from Singapore. Many of them come from places like Australia, New Zealand, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Europe, America. They don't come from Singapore itself, because I refuse to look at this market as just Singapore. The market is as big as LinkedIn is, which is basically the whole of the world. And I have the freedom to do that. How do I work for a big corporation? I have to submit business plans and justify why I'm doing this and justify why I'm spending an airfare here and a hotel fare here and a restaurant here. I don't have to do any of that because I have the freedom to choose to experiment. And that's why I was doing these workshops with you, Jane, in Sydney, but also in Melbourne and New York and Hong Kong and Singapore. I'm experimenting. I don't know if it's going to work or not in terms of lead generation. It's fun to do, and I love inspiring people. But if we get no clients at the end of it from all the workshops, I would consider it a learning thing, but I wouldn't consider it a phenomenal success. I consider it experience, and we'll try something else. I mean, that's all to do with the book. The book's about giving away content in order for people to see and be inspired by LinkedIn, to learn things about LinkedIn, but ultimately, for 5% of them, to come back to us and go, wow, this is amazing stuff. I can't do this myself. I haven't got the time. I need your expertise to do it for us. And it's all about trying different things to stimulate demand, to create demand, to uncover demand, and actually build a business.
You demonstrate such a curious, open mind to everything. And like you said, what I really love is when you said, I don't know if this roadshow going to Melbourne and Sydney and New York and Hong Kong and everywhere, you don't know if it's going to work. However, you know what? If all else fails, you've made a friend or many, many friends. And that's all part of the networking, isn't it? But I have to say that when you came to Sydney and we were sitting, up there at the top of the Shangri-La, first of all, it was a great location. Then you put on the most fast-paced, inspiring presentation all about LinkedIn, which was amazing. I had to really concentrate to keep up because there was so much information. I mean, honestly, you're just a lot of value in that workshop. But it was fun. I laughed my head off. It was so, because you're hilarious anyway.
I heard, Jane. I heard you had a fantastic laugh.
Here I go. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. This is a funny man, guys. Everyone listening, he's a funny man. Well worth it. And also what was so nice was that you gave all of us a copy of your book, LinkedIn Mastery for Entrepreneurs. Tell us a little bit about the book, Chris.
Well, it came about through an Australian entrepreneur who approached me actually about funnel, and he based it on the side. He said, by the way, I'm a best-selling author. And I happened to say to him, how did you achieve that? And he talked me through it. And I'd always wanted to write a book, but being a busy entrepreneur, never ever had the time. But I blog all the time, and I'm very passionate about blogging on LinkedIn and using content to drive demand. So he said to me, I can do this in 14 weeks, and I will charge you X, and it will take you virtually none of your time. I thought, this is extraordinarily appealing to me. And basically I said, okay, you can do it in 14 weeks. I'll pay you that to do that. You deliver it by then. Absolutely fantastic. And he did exactly what he said. 14 weeks to that day, we were published on Amazon.com, Amazon.com.au, French Amazon, UK Amazon, Canadian Amazon, German Amazon. And within a week, we were a best-selling book about LinkedIn. And ever since then, I no longer hand out my business card. I hand out my book. Because people just don't really pay attention to business cards these days. It goes into a pile, goes onto a desk, goes into a cupboard. No one sees it. People read books. People see books. And people think, oh yeah, who's the LinkedIn guy? Oh yeah, he's the guy who wrote that book. And it's all about branding. It's all about content. And people take away huge amounts of tips from that book and put them into practice. I'm always stunned and amazed. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm stunned and amazed how people actually say to me, I read your book and I enacted it on my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn now looks absolutely fantastic. And I won business as a result of doing changes that you recommended in your book. I go, wow, that's absolutely amazing. Not only you buy my book, you read my book, and you put it into action. That's exactly what I wanted, but I never actually thought people would actually do it, which is absolutely incredible. People tell me that in America, in the UK, in Australia, in Europe, in China, in Hong Kong, and in Singapore, they actually do read the book and put it into practice. So it's absolutely really, really rewarding that people will actually do that. And remember that myself and the Black Marketing team do LinkedIn for entrepreneurs, but that you can do it yourself as well.
Honestly, it's a good book. I've also read the book, Chris. I've read the whole book. Can you believe it? And I didn't just flip through it and think, here, I might implement this. Because obviously LinkedIn's a big deal for me as well. I leverage LinkedIn a lot for my business, and I coach my clients, on LinkedIn. But you've got so many additional stories and examples of what actually works in this. It's a great book. I'm going to use it as a resource. Recommend it to everybody. So
fantastic.
That's great. No, well worthwhile. But so what would you say? You are the LinkedIn guru. I mean, every time I open up LinkedIn, there's Chris J. Reed, the only CEO with a mohawk, and there's your branding as well, which is really, really good. Because anyone who hasn't seen Chris's photo, there is a mohawk, and sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's another color.
Right? Red for Chinese New Year at the moment, because the year of the rooster. The year of the rooster's red, so I've gone red for Chinese New Year.
I know, it's amazing. On this, we're on a Skype call at the moment, and your picture has a blue mohawk, Chris. So okay,
it's LinkedIn Blue. The front cover of my book is LinkedIn Blue. I've renamed my blue LinkedIn Blue.
Oh, I see. And also because your business is called Black Marketing, it's great because it's a dark cover. It's all blue and black and white, and that's perfect. Yeah, so
it's exactly LinkedIn's colours.
Everything you do is branding, isn't it?
Cool. Yeah, every single thing.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, LinkedIn, because many of my listeners are people going through career change, and some are thinking about transitioning into entrepreneurship, and they'll need to brand themselves. Whether you're looking for a job or whether you are transitioning into your own business, branding's going to be important because people buy from people. People want to work with people. So what's the best way, would you say, to start off leveraging LinkedIn?
You basically, you have to look at the fundamentals. LinkedIn's not rocket science. It's just look at the fundamentals. Look at your photograph. What does your photograph say about your particular brand? Is it a Facebook photograph? Is it a holiday snap photograph? Or is it a serious photograph? And does it communicate your personal brand? Look at your headline. Does your headline say what you do and what you want to do, more importantly, as well? Does it communicate your passion? Does it communicate your marketing expertise? Does it communicate your entrepreneurialism? Does it communicate what you do as a specialist? Your background picture. Everyone's got a background picture, but hardly anybody actually uses it to market themselves. And it's like having a space in Times Square in the middle of the CBD in Sydney and not actually using it to market yourself. So using a background picture, as you do very well, Jane, and I do, and many people who've seen my workshops do, they actually use the background picture to market their books, their events, themselves, their branding. Use that. And then you've got to start marketing. You've got to start marketing yourself through content. Put your thoughts down. No one has an exclusive right to blog on LinkedIn. You are as good as anybody else. You and me can blog just like Richard Branson can blog. We are not exclusive. No one is exclusive. If you have something interesting to say in a business context, put it down. And you'd be amazed about people who actually say, that's interesting, that's really useful, I will put that into action, or you made me think about that. And that's what you want to do. Just use content marketing, which is completely free. All these tips are completely free. Think about how you're presenting yourself. Obviously, your summary section is also very important. Talk about yourself. Talk about your awards. Talk about your achievements. Talk about your leadership. Talk about what you've done at the companies you're with, or talk about your aspirations for your company, or why you became an entrepreneur, why you want to become an entrepreneur. Talk about things in a personal context, but in a business context. And then, use the space on LinkedIn and actually do all the things they ask you to do. And then you go up the rankings, go up the search, use content, use video, use pictures, use website links, bring it to life by using visuals. LinkedIn's a very visual medium. And people underestimate the power of visuals on LinkedIn. They love YouTube on LinkedIn. They love Vimeo on LinkedIn. They love videos, watching LinkedIn videos on LinkedIn, and both the app and the website's phenomenally easy and phenomenally powerful when it comes to communicating your personal brand. So I've got millions of videos on there because I know people, and people have told me, I watched your video before I met you, or I watched your video after I met you. And it reinforces your brand positioning. So don't underestimate the power of video. And anyone can do video these days. Everyone's got a phone, everyone's got a camera. Everyone can do video. It does not cost the earth these days. You just upload it into YouTube, put it on your LinkedIn, and then you're suddenly creating and communicating your powerful personal brand.
Oh, I'm exhausted. Sorry, I'm busy listening, getting absorbed and everything. I 100% agree with you on all of those. The photo, the tagline, the background photo, publishing on Pulse and really using content marketing, the summary section, putting everything in there. You know what I want to ask you is, what's your opinion? I always recommend that people write their summary in first person because it's social media. And some people go, no, it's, I like it to be more formal because it gives me gravitas and,
just like your PA wrote. Looks like your PA wrote.
Yeah, or sometimes it sounds like an obituary as well. And I like first person. Obviously, it sounds like you like first person too.
Oh, yeah.
And can you tell everybody the reasoning behind this?
Because it's one-to-one, it's peer-to-peer. You don't go to a networking event and start talking in the third person. You say I. So that's what it's like. LinkedIn's a networking event, just happens to be virtual. So why are you doing it in the third person? John did this, John said that. It sounds absolutely ridiculous when you're reading John's profile. You think, I know John, why is he speaking in the third person? That just sounds bizarre.
It's so true. I was at a networking event once and I met someone, this man, and he was talking about himself in the third person. And I thought, pardon? I wasn't quite sure who he was talking about initially. Then I realized he was talking about himself. It is very odd. I have to admit, it is odd. But so many people say, no, it has to be in third person. And it makes me tear my hair out because I think people want a conversation. You go onto LinkedIn to get to know people. You're searching for a professional. And if you wanted a resume, you could go to a resume database. But LinkedIn is, let's get to know you a little bit, but not every happy snap of you playing with the dog. It's all got to be in your area of expertise, in your profession.
Professional context.
Right? Yeah. But certainly, awards and pictures of you receiving awards. And I love the idea of the videos because I know certainly, for me, even with my own business, is that if people are looking for a career coach, they want to know what they're like. They want to know what my personality would be like. What's it like to work for Jane? Yeah. And I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Some people will think, I really want to work with her. And others think, not quite sure about her style. I don't know. But then what this does is it attracts to me the type of people who like what I'm like. And then I attract my ideal clients. I think that's quite important.
Totally right. You communicate yourself perfectly using content marketing. Like you say, you're a bit like me. People either love me or hate me, for example, probably more extreme than yours are. But that's a good thing because then you work with people who want to work with you, take you for who you are. And that way you basically work with people more positively than someone who basically says, I thought you were different. I never realized you had a mohawk kind of thing. What's this whole thing about wearing a T-shirt at work and all this kind of stuff? It's like, at least you know what you're getting into.
I have to admit, that's what I like about you. Is that I looked at the picture, I thought, who's this guy with a mohawk? Mohawks went out years ago. Why has he still got one? But then, and the way that you dress, it honestly, it's just your branding. So I immediately thought, interesting. I'd like to find out more. And then I think because it created that curiosity factor as well, that's a really good thing. Because if you were in a suit and a tie and you had really neat hair, you shaved off the mohawk, then it's, you'll still be a good looking guy, Chris, but it's like, it doesn't have that, I guess, attention grabbing thing.
That's personal branding.
Yeah,
personal branding. If I can't do personal branding for myself, how am I going to explain to you the benefits of personal branding? No. You don't have to be as extreme as me by having a mohawk, but it's a point I'm trying to make in terms of everyone's got something that makes them stand out. Every single person.
Yeah. And one of the things I find really sad is when I find a LinkedIn profile that is so boring, just so boring. And I think, what are you doing? There's so much more that you can do to just create a little more buzz and interest. And I always like to say to people, write to your target audience. Think of that one person that you're talking to. And so what are other additional recommendations you would make, Chris, for LinkedIn?
Obviously, if you're an entrepreneur or you work for a company, make sure you have a good company page. Now, it's not like people search or not like people follow company pages, but they do search for it. They do want that reassurance. You're not just by yourself. They want to know your proper company behind you. Even if you're a one-man band, project the fact you're not. Project the fact you are a company. When I started Black Marketing, people said to me, you're by yourself, you need to be basically registered as a sole trader and telephone as a sole trader. I said, no, I don't. I register as a company because I'm going to be a company, and I want to project the fact I'm a company because I can charge more by projecting the fact I'm a company. Because people, as soon as they see sole trader, they basically charge you, they basically accept less, or they want to basically pay less. Being a company enables you to charge more because then your rivals are similar companies. They expect that kind of price difference. So as they have a company page, have lots of content on that company page, and make sure you have connections. People say to me, I only want to connect with people I know. It's like, what's the point of that? You need to connect people you don't know. You need to connect people who basically you're networking with, your second connections, your third connections, people interesting, people in your area, people you meet at social events, people you meet at professional events, people you meet in a whole ward of people who react to your content on LinkedIn. Anyone who interacts with you or look as if they're in the same kind of field as you, or you could learn from, or they could learn from you, connect. Because that's the spirit of LinkedIn to me. That's the spirit of kind of network. It is like a network again. It's about a networking event. It just happens to be virtual. And when you go to a network event, at least in Singapore and Australia, maybe not in America, because I've had Americans say to me, I network with people I know. And I say, that's an oxymoron. You can't network with people you know. The whole point is to network with people you don't know. But in Asia, particularly being an expat, I network with people I don't know all the time. And here in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in Shanghai, in KL, in Jakarta, in Manila, in Phnom Penh, in Ho Chi Minh, in Sri Lanka, in Sydney, in Melbourne. I'm going down to Melbourne in 2 weeks' time. I have never been to Melbourne before to actually pitch LinkedIn. I'm going down there. I've got 30 meetings set up. I've got a workshop, and I've got an American Chamber of Commerce meeting. I'm going to go meet some fantastic and inspirational and amazing people. And some of those people will become clients. And some of those people will go away from my meetings, go, wow, that's amazing. I will do what he's just suggested. And that would be an amazing occasion. But if I believe that networking was just about meeting people I only knew, I would never go to Melbourne. So to me, that's the spirit of LinkedIn. You reach out to people you do not know, but you have something in common with.
Now, I agree with you there, because reaching out and connecting with a lot of people is important. But what about the people who just click on that plus sign, connect, and they don't send a personalized note? And then when you send them a message back saying, hello, who are you? They don't respond. Would you connect with them?
I would connect with them, but I instantly would send back something saying, how can I help you with your LinkedIn strategy? So it basically has to have, as you said, some kind of reason why you're connecting. We send out personalized messages to say, I looked at your profile and it looks so fantastic. I think there's lots of room for improvement, and we can help you with your LinkedIn strategy. So you basically personalize the message, or you say things like, we're fellow entrepreneurs, or we're both in the marketing business, or we saw you in social selling or content marketing or something quite interesting, and then basically say the reason why you want to connect with somebody. So you can never, I think, just press that button to just say connect, because ultimately LinkedIn will then effectively ban you because you get too many I don't knows. You've got to say why you want to connect, because that way you'll get about 95% acceptance rate of people who basically you sent the message to. And that's why you go to networking events, to meet people interested, and then connect with them afterwards, and they'll become your advocates going forwards. And do it the other way around as well. Connect with people and say why, and then meet them at networking events, and then solidify that relationship, accentuate that relationship, and move it to the next level.
What I love to do is, if I'm going to a conference and I can see who the speakers are, I look them up on LinkedIn and send them a personalized note saying, hey, I'm going to be at this event, really looking forward to meeting you. And then when I actually meet them, then there's more likelihood of, there being a bit of a connection if they've checked me out as well. So it's a little bit of going out of your comfort zone if you're not used to doing that, but it's well worthwhile because it helps you develop that network.
It works, Jane. It definitely works. I went to a British Chamber of Commerce event last week, and it was a merger between a merged event between the Singapore Chamber of Commerce and the British Chamber of Commerce. So I'm a board member of the British Chamber of Commerce. So I knew some people there, but I sent, because I got a list of people who were attending, I sent every single person on LinkedIn who was attending that event a note saying, looking forward to seeing you at the event later. And the amount of people who came up to me at that event saying, got your message, great to connect with you, thanks for the message, thanks for connecting, really nice to meet you in person. And it was amazing. I got more people talking to me than anybody else did. People kept saying, how does that guy know you? How does that guy know you? I'm going, well, I just reached out to him on LinkedIn and said, let's connect at the event itself. And it's a perfect example about how you connect on LinkedIn, but meet somebody in real life. And that, to me, is what LinkedIn's all about. It's a catalyst to meet people in real life. So me and you, for example, we've been talking on LinkedIn for a couple of years, and last week in Sydney was the first time I met you. So it was absolutely fantastic to finally meet you. But I feel like we had a fantastic relationship before then, just accentuated by actually meeting each other. So that's the way LinkedIn should actually work, Jane.
I absolutely agree. And also, Chris, when you walk into a room for networking, people instantly recognize you anyway. So now you're maybe because of the mohawk. And what color is it going to be tomorrow? So I need to do something. What do I do with my hair, Chris?
You have lovely auburn hair. I have beautiful hair, Jane.
Yes, I know, but it doesn't stand out. Maybe I need a mohawk too. I don't know. I've got to
that
think.
Would stand out, Jane. If you had a mohawk, you'd be the only female on LinkedIn with a mohawk.
Oh, how would you like that? I'll put my tagline: the only female on LinkedIn with a mohawk.
That'd be brilliant. I'd love that. We have to do lots and lots of selfies together.
We would. Oh dear. Okay. Well, I'll have a think about that. I'm a little bit shy, Chris. I'm very shy. Okay.
You are not shy, Jane Jackson.
Okay. Now tell me, you are on this world tour that
yes,
you're experimenting,
a world tour.
and people are getting to know you. So, all right. So you've gone from Singapore to Sydney. And now you're back in Singapore, and I know that you've got Hong Kong and Melbourne and New York coming up in the next couple of months.
Yes.
So tell us your schedule and tell us what to expect.
So basically, I did in Singapore, and I do lots of talks in Singapore, but this is a proper LinkedIn workshop tour. This is a 2-hour workshop tour. So I have lots of talks. I have one talk where I talk about my top 10 tips. So for today, for example, I go to inspire students at a design college in Singapore about how to use LinkedIn to get their job. But I do workshops all the time. So my next workshop about LinkedIn that goes the deep dive down into LinkedIn and what to do is in Singapore next week on the 20th of February. And then I'm coming to Melbourne between the 6th and the 10th of February. And I have a LinkedIn special workshop at the Grand Hyatt, the Club Lounge on the 8th of March in Melbourne at 9 a.m. And then the week after, I go to New York. And I go to there to do a workshop in the the week after, which is I think the 14th of March, which I'm really looking forward to. It'll be quite incredible to go to the place where LinkedIn was actually created and go and tell lots of Americans how to use LinkedIn. Because lots of Americans think they know how to use LinkedIn, and then you show them their profile and show them other people's profile in Asia and go, no, this is the way you use LinkedIn. Because a lot of people in the UK and America think they know how to use LinkedIn and they don't. And so that's what I love about Australia. Australians are very, very open-minded in terms of meeting me and learning and saying, oh, wow, I never knew that LinkedIn could do Sales Navigator. I never knew that LinkedIn could do blogging. I never knew LinkedIn could do employer branding. I just thought LinkedIn was a recruitment tool or a CV tool. And we explain how to use things like Sales Navigator, but how you actually generate leads by using LinkedIn. People are amazed, absolutely amazed. And it's things like that I'm looking forward to meeting people in Melbourne about between the 6th and the 10th of March.
Fantastic. So 20th of February, you'll be in Singapore. And where are you delivering that talk in Singapore?
In Capital Tower, where my office is in Collective Works, the co-working space.
Okay. And then on the 8th of March, you're going to be at the Grand Hyatt in Melbourne.
Yes.
And then on the 14th of March, you'll be where in New York?
In the Grand Hyatt in New York.
In the Grand Hyatt. You know, Chris Reed only goes to the best places, you know.
Normally I go to Shangri-La. There's no Shangri-La in Melbourne. There's no Shangri-La in New York.
Well, thank God there was a Shangri-La in Singapore. Because
when I went to Sydney in May.
Yeah. Oh, you will be back. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we're back due to popular demand. I'm coming back to Sydney in May to do another Shangri-La Executive LinkedIn workshop in middle of May.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's good. Well, definitely well worth it, because when I got up there, I just took photos of the view for ages until you started talking because it was so nice. So what date in May are you back in Sydney?
I am back. It's a very good question. I knew you were going to ask me that question. Mm-hmm. I am back on the... I'm back for the between the 15th and 19th, because I'm also appearing at the B2B Marketing Conference, which is being held on the 16th and 17th, which I'm really looking forward to. And then we do the workshop on the 18th of May.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So 18th of May at the Shangri-La. So I'll have all of this. Yeah, I'll have all of this on my show notes on janejacksoncoach.com. So I'm sure there'll be lots of people having a look to make sure they know exactly where you're going to. And also people can find you at blackmarketing.com.
Indeed, and of course on LinkedIn, Jane.
Oh no, LinkedIn. Oh, I almost forgot. How could I say? Okay, any other social media handles, or don't you talk about the other channels?
No, I don't talk about the other ones.
Okay, so all you need to do is to type in Chris J. Reed, and he will just pop up everywhere.
I will. Everywhere.
And then we'll know. And also, what's so good is in your the background photo, you've actually got the cities that you're going to, and it changes all the time. So that's something.
I've got Melbourne there at the moment because I'm promoting Melbourne at the moment. So Melbourne, beautiful Melbourne, is at the back of my my background picture at the moment.
Yeah, and that's something that I hadn't actually thought about before, and I learned this from you, is that you can keep changing your background photo depending on what you're doing.
I had New York yesterday, I had all of them last week, I've got Melbourne now, I'll do Singapore tomorrow. It's fantastic. When I feel like it, I'll give you a great example. I went to see Armin van Buuren when I was down in Sydney, who's a Dutch DJ, and I actually had an Armin van Buuren background picture because I was there, so I was celebrating the fact that I was going to this amazing concert in Sydney, and I changed it, but then I changed it back to the workshop after that. That's what you can do. It's like you're using it as a dynamic marketing vehicle, as an advertising vehicle, so you should do the same thing, Jane.
Yeah, and I guess people can also just click on it and then they can see my comment, and I can put the URL of whoever I'm hoping to promote as well, or link to my website or whatever. Wonderful ideas. There's just so much more that we could learn from Chris Reed. Thank you so much, CEO with a mohawk. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure, Jane.
It's lovely talking to you. And once you come back from, the whirlwind tour around the world, we'll have to have you back on again, and you can tell us how well it's worked.
I'd love to. Absolutely love to come back, Jane. Thank you very much for having me. Okay. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Chris. Bye. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. You can get a free audiobook download and free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers. There are over 180,000 book titles to choose, so give it a go and get your free audiobook today from audibletrial.com/Jane Jackson Careers.
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.